because we just did. It's because we just saw the last game play on Villa. But here we are, fresh game, fresh best of 3, and a fresh 2 teams. Team 1 versus NiP. Kicking things off with a book ban. It's not as targeted as it used to be. Alamou famed for his book in early stage 1 and stage 2, but since halfway through stage 2, stage 3, it hasn't really been as important or as big a factor as previous. Ibana removed as the hard breach. Nothing too surprising here. A little bit targety on either side. Jaeger taken away. Is that the Muzi ban demo? Or is it the Kamikaze ban?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, Jaeger is definitely an operator that... I mean, we see, I think, good flexibility from NiP. You know, it's not just Muzi, it's not just Kamikaze. I think we've seen Pino have his fair share of Jaeger moments also, so it's just an all-round ban. And I think also, considering it is Villa, you looked at how utility-focused it was, a lot of nades, a lot of flashbangs being brought by the attackers, then it's going to be always just a staple ban, a solid ban. We see woMai be banned out. Is there that much of a difference between woMai and Jaeger? Not really. They both do the same job.
Valkyrie going to round things out.
Mirrors
That's
open.
just an everybody ban, really. Mainly more of a Psycho and a Pino ban starting things off for NiP on the defense, but quite easily a Levy ban as well, or a KDS ban, as everybody seems to love playing a bit of Valk, and why not? Alamou, bit of a name change there. Alamou Razar? Raza? Unsure.
He's always having a name change, isn't he? Just every month it's a new.
Is that not what he's changed?
One.
I'm sure he's changed his profile picture to somebody that was called Raza as well. Might be wrong on that.
There he is. No, he's just chilling in his profile pic.
I'm not. My finger isn't on the pulse of the meme culture as much as I'd like it to be.
Then again, you are 45, so I wouldn't expect you to really be in there with the, with the young hip people these days. So
the burn.
Flash, NiP, big fan of the shields, as we know, Ollie, and it's certainly an operator that we see from NiP and Villa. I think NiP have a good history of Villa. It has been a map that, I think they've been historically known for just not losing on. But I wouldn't say that the matches that they play in Villa are ever comfortable. Every time I've seen NiP play Villa, it has always been crazy. There's always been something that you just think, how or why or oh my word. It's just something about NiP and Villa. Yes, they win the map. They never make it easy.
Nah, they quite often don't. It's not something that's been as much of a trend recently. I think ever since they got beaten by W7M in Stage 2, it's not really been a map that they've sort of been known as being that good on anymore. But there's always time to prove us wrong and to become that team once again. The Clash being used for the main stairs hold is quite interesting. Typically, you just get a woMai played there with a shield and just throw the woMai discs out and just hope to stay alive. But actually playing Julio on the Clash there as well as Psycho, really showing just how much they want to try and keep control of that area. Oh, KDS gets some unfortunate time in there. Psycho, with the swing, is able to take down Alamou, but caught with a nade in hand. KDS isn't able to do anything. Another nade flies up, destroys the shield, and chips Julio down somewhat. Julio now can make his way down the stairs and just gather a little bit more information. There's vertical angles being pressured from either side here as well, as Psycho goes for a bit of a swing onto Lagonis. Lagonis, bit of a panic drop there, as he's caught just pre-firing, trying to keep the players at bay. Julio now able to gather and dish out quite a bit of information. First one being an Iana clone. No real cause for concern or panic. But Toxic Babe canisters now being used to cut off these players. It's a bottleneck that NiP are creating, and one that Team 1 are just walking willingly into.
Yeah, and I think the Clash just put so much more pressure on them. Yes, they might have destroyed the deployable shield on the stairs, but they didn't get rid of the Clash shield at the end of the day, Ollie. That is still something that they have to go through. And NiP are happy enough just to start rotating back to the bomb site, play their utility, and oh, that's a great swing though from Neskin. Eliminates Pino, but Kamikaze has 2 smoke canisters in the back pocket, which is the main issue that Team 1 will have to go up against. Lagones, look at his HP. Ollie, even the Clash could finish him off at this stage. They still have the control study with a player on top main stairs. Bottleneck is just the name of the game right now for Villa, and I fear Team 1, they just got caught up with the time and the utility. What a great swing for Muzi. You still see Levy have the trade-off though, but he's down and there's no way he's getting picked up. Psycho finds KDS. Neskin will try and move in towards 9. He just leaves his teammate for dead. Knows he has to try and push on in. Kamikaze waits with a shotgun. And Lagones, who is down to a sliver of HP, tried to make a long rotate, but he's out of time. Team 1, they fall at the first hurdle. NiP holding that extremely stiff.
Yep, NiP not giving anything up there. A bit of a lack of hard breach as well from Team 1. Feels like we could probably just rewind and press play on some of the commentary that we were making for the previous game, especially when Furia were attacking demo. You know, that lack of hard breach from Team 1, it's evident here as it was in the first game, and it's something that's slowed them down, something rotten. You know, if they did have the potential to get in and start making a couple of those hard walls into, you know, rotations or lines of sight or just anything, it's going to give you a bit of a better time of things, but the stubbornness to not bring a hard breacher is a real one. And again, we see it costing the attacking side. Wonder if that is something that does continue here, if that's a trend that we see Team 1 consistently go for. They've not chosen a hard breach inside of round 2, of course, attacking into a different side, but still, bottleneck central is where we find ourselves.
Here we go with our next defense for NiP. Flash is gone. Instead, Echo will come into the fray of things. Ollie, usually not an operator that we see for a map like Villa, mostly because just because of how volatile the vertical game can be played by the attackers, it doesn't really leave any safe positions that an Echo player can sit in freely. So that's really the only worries you would have if you're bringing the Echo is, okay, can he sit in a position that we know he won't get killed in? Echo can still be very, very vital for defending that main breach. It gives, obviously, great information, but to being able to stop the plant, and especially remember this bomb site, Ollie, we know it's very slow-paced. The attackers have a lot of things that you have to do if they're establishing bedroom control, if they're trying to establish their studying and in towards Aviator and games. It takes up a lot of time. You're trying to go in for that confuse in the final seconds, and Echo can just ruin everything for you.
Absolutely, and especially if Team 1 continue this trend of late round attacks that we've seen on Villa with teams that don't bring hard breach, it's going to become even more pressurizing for them. Rotero drone to destroy the shield at the top of Astronomy Stairs. Julio, not too concerned, can immediately take up that position, just as a bit of a double check. Alamou, how do you get 2 there? Just got swung by both Pino and Muzi. Picks up another onto Kamikaze. This guy's playing terrorist hunt. Everyone's throwing bodies at him, and he's hitting every single shot. Psycho eventually to shut him down. Alamou, not too worried at that one, as he's already taken down 3.
Damage has been done. He's got his worth there. More than his worth, I would say. Triple his worth. Julio now decides to move on in, and at this stage I think NiP know that they have to play a little bit more aggro, simply because, I mean, they've lost 3 players and they've done exactly that. Psycho has been able to find a second, but look at the HP though from NiP. Julio and Psycho not in a great position to start taking any more gunfights. Headshots need to be the name of the game for NiP. A minute 30, so much time for Team 1, except they don't have a hard breach, Ollie. That is the only issue. They're going to get choked up, as we know that is... Like I said, bottleneck central has been the main goal for defenders. It's just trying to lay out entire rounds and then use your utility, use the smokes, use the echo drones that NiP have.
And it's a shame because Team 1 really should be able to press on to this advantage, but because they're now going to be going through single doorways, it's essentially just 1 versus 1s anyway, unless you're really going to stack onto that doorway. So it's going to require even more coordination to get the job done here. Neskin, he swings on through, finds one onto Psycho. Julio eventually taken down again by Neskin. They do there manage to make it work. Could have been a lot cleaner, and there was still a chance there for NiP to get something going, but off the back of the F2 and off the back of Alamou in the opening few seconds, Team 1 chalk 1 up.
Yeah, no surprise. I think that was just inevitable after what Alamou had performed. He'd done a lot of the heavy lifting for Team 1. All he had to do was just tap it into the back of the net, I suppose, Ollie. So, NiP struggling with the trophy statuary. Surprisingly, we seen that be very defender-sided for FaZe Clan earlier tonight. And keep in mind, Team 1, again, we're playing a lineup with no hard breach.
Finally.
Very surprising.
Finally, we see it switched.
Well, this is probably the bomb site that you don't need it for. It is the kitchen.
Strange. I'll give you that one. Certainly a strange one. Could be seeing a bit more of a laundry plant come through. Maybe that could be the focus here. But you're right, it is a bit weird to see it come through on the site where you maybe need it the least.
I'm interested to see what the game plan is for NiP in their kitchen. Are they going to go heavy with the roam game? Obviously, they have the Mozzie and the Mute, so they could definitely pull off a top floor hold if they wanted to. It seems to be the case. You see Mozzie going around, placing down some pest all over the map. Not trying to give Team 1 any kind of good standpoint to start their droning. Kind of throw them off guard. So NiP very heavy in the roam game. 3 roamers at the moment. Make that 4. I see Psycho lurking upstairs. Only just the 1 player being placed on the site, and that is Kamikaze. He has to be careful because somebody walking up study, maybe a full rush up study, could be enough to end NiP in the roam game they're going for. Team 1 are definitely a side, Ollie, that if they see an opening, they'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. They're an opportunistic team, and it's one of the things that makes them quite dangerous and quite unpredictable, really. Alamou, the player to really keep a keen eye on, see how that entry goes for him. He'll be drawing himself in with the quick shot thrown now. It looks as though Team 1 are going to want to go for a top floor clear here. Julio in position with an impact from below. Couldn't open up the line of sight or even have an opportunity at putting a couple of pot shots in. Much slower, given the context of the rounds that we've seen so far, but it's going to kick off with a kill from Muzi. Takes down Levy. With it, there's a fear.
Team 1, losing that first engagement, doesn't set them up really anything too important. There's a second goes in favor, and a third for NiP. Team 1 seem to be blasted into next week in this round. KDS and Lagonas have to try and pick up the pieces and rebuild around for Team 1. We'll jump in towards Memorial. KDS eliminates Julio, and Lagonas finds another now 2 versus 3. They've started to pull back some kills, but still a lot of work to be done. A minute 15 to go. NiP still have roamers. Muzi will be lurking in Piano and has the perfect timing, and KDS held him all the way up the staircase, but whenever he looks away, the wrong moment, he will pounce, and NiP finish off the round in great fashion. Very fast. Didn't even get to the minute mark. NiP just won their individual gunfights, and Team 1 really couldn't do anything against it.
It was a strong mid-round, wasn't it? Because it was a very slow burner to kick things off. And then as soon as Muzi kicked off with the kill, it was a bit of a domino effect there for NiP. We move on to Aviator and Games. Potential for a 6-pick. But initially no hard breach being selected. Instead, it's going to be Alamou switching off the Twitch onto the Lion. So again, Demo, we're not seeing this hard breach that we want, and that has so clearly been a big differentiating factor in rounds won for attackers and rounds lost in these sites.
This is a bit of a make or break round, I feel, for Team 1. This is a site that they just really didn't have any insight into. I think the Flash came in massively. I think the utility from NiP was played great. Team 1 were lacking with the refrags, and if NiP win this round again in the same fashion, that's a 3-1 standing for NiP, and that sets them up really nice for the next couple of rounds, and NiP could really start piling on those rounds and build up a massive lead against Team 1. I just can't believe, I'm still just amazed the turnaround that NiP have had in such a short space of time. If you look at that side that went into, let's say, the MIBR match, and they got 7 freed, and we just sat there and thought, okay, NiP, you know, that's them summed up for the season. Only being able to win what was 1 matchup of all of their games, and yeah, it was just a very lackluster. And actually, I think they won 2 games. One of them was in overtime. But NiP, yeah, just weren't really there at all this season. And to see them turn around and be able to get that win against Liquid yesterday was a real testament just to never count this side out. And right now that they've looked in good form today so far.
Let's see if that form continues as we enter round number 4. Early Lion scan sent out. One caught from Team 1 initially. Instead, it's going to be Neskin to fall as Psycho takes opportunity there from those main stairs. There's a kill that comes in from main stairs. You know that it's got Psycho's name on it. He commands that area. He's going to be pre-firing over onto Lagonis as well. Couple trading elsewhere as another Lion scan comes in and Alamou takes advantage. Picks up 2, KDS another. Lagonis cleans up onto Julio. And well, Psycho, for all that he is on those main stairs and commanding them, he is now the last player surviving for NiP. 1 versus 3. Now he is going to be going up against a heavily chipped down Team 1 as he already shuts Lagonis down. KDS has the diffuser this time though, so still a danger of a plant incoming. No Lion scan left. Pre-fires over onto KDS and takes him out. It's 3 kills on the round. He pre-fires for Alamou, but Alamou hits the headshot there. Unfortunate circumstance for Psycho. You've got to feel for him there. It was a great attempt, but ultimately comes to nothing.
Nothing at all. Team 1, a great round to get them back into this game 2-2. Now we certainly do have a match on our hands. Mostly contested as it goes. Don't know if it's going to be defender-sided. Don't know if it's going to be attacker-sided. Or it could be completely even, 50-50, right down the middle. Aviator and games once again for NiP. We're seeing a trade-off though. No clash. Instead, Thunderbird makes an appearance. Also a Frost. Bit of an exotic lineup from NiP. What do they have in store? Thunderbird hasn't really hit the meta as hard as I think people would have thought to be oLe. Useful gadget, definitely, if you're an aggressive side and you're not afraid to take those opening engagements, go for spawn peaks, and you're not afraid of losing health. That's where the Thunderbird can play massive. With those Kakona stations, you know, simply run back to site and heal yourself up all the way to full. We kind of speculated that she could be great for holding certain positions that are difficult to deal with. I think Villa main stairs was an area that a lot of teams thought that she would be great in. But the realism of Thunderbird is if there's gonna be a nade tossed at you, you're still probably gonna die to the nade. Even if you do have a healing station beside you.
Yeah, it's unlikely to have a really significant impact. We do see players sort of running back to get themselves juiced up, but I don't know how much real importance it has. NiP are one of the teams that have sort of pioneered the Thunderbird a little bit more. Maybe we see it come to a big clutch in this round, but again, it's something that the attackers can even take advantage of. You know, if they walk past one of the corner stations, they're getting the juice as well. The corner station doesn't discriminate, demo. Friend or foe, it is going to give you a little bit of a stim.
Yeah. That's very true indeed. And I think one thing you have to remember with the kind of healing station is it can also sometimes give your position away. Just keep in mind, if you're in the radius of that station, you hear a pop, and you know the guy's going to be in that vicinity, which can, again, be used for either team to gain some information, but I don't know, it just seems to be a forced operator that you almost need to try and build around. And I know, speaking to some professional players, they felt that it just seemed forced. It feels as if you would rather bring other operators to the table. You know, look at this lineup. Maybe Goyo would be a good selection. It gives you, even more shields, more denial potentially. You know, you have a wide variety of operators. Maybe a oNe. There's a standout operator for Villa. So, yeah, just a bit forced. But anyway, Team 1 have done extremely well with eliminating that first shield using the... oh, actually, they didn't get rid of the shield. I thought that was a shoe-in. Or did they get the shield and maybe rotate a new one over? I don't know.
I'm not going to be underneath, just trying to put a couple of shots in there. Vertical angle, something that NiP really like to work with. The nade comes through. The shield will remain, though, for the time being. Psycho picks down KDS. Second kill for Psycho on the round. He's starting to chain him together. A player that has suffered so much in the regular stage, really popping off in Copa. 2 openings here. Openings being the biggest stat line that he was sort of falling in. He's kicking things off pretty strong here in this game. 9-2 currently. We're only in round number 5. Pino, he's going to take down onto Neskin, Lagonis and Levy. They've got it all to do, and they've only got 45 seconds to do it in. Lagonis eventually shuts Psycho down. It's a small start, but it's a step in the right direction. 40 seconds left. Still players to deal with and a lot of information to gather. Julio starts to get chunked down, but will find the kills vertically, and the Frostmat does the rest. Didn't hear the Pogmat go off there, Demo, but
nope.
It is going to be responsible for that last kill.
Is indeed. Player that I would love to highlight, Ollie, is Psycho. Had a very, very rough stage. I believe that the figure that came out is in opening kills to opening deaths, Ollie. He was 4-20.
Oh, it was the worst for opening deaths in the entire league.
It was horrendous. Like that's stats that we do not expect from the player of his caliber. But he's turned it around. He's turned it around massively, and he showed up whenever it counts. That's the main thing. You know, like we said, Ollie, the regular season can come and go. You know, you can have some of the worst stage of your life, but we know that NiP, because of how well they played in the first stage and how well they played in the second stage, because of the way the standings work, NiP were still going to be guaranteed the Copa Elite 6 spot. That's all that mattered for NiP. They knew that all they had to do was show up to this competition and just completely erase everything that had went against them before. And they've done that. They got to Sweden. They got to the major. So, like we said before, NiP, everything else, they don't have to worry about it. That's in the past now, and they can look forward. No point them living in the past. There's no point Psycho sitting there thinking, okay, I had 4-20 opening kills and opening deaths. Does that play a part in my mental game? It shouldn't, because look at him now, Ollie. 9 kills, 3 deaths.
Oh, the guy doesn't care. And I think that's clear. You know, it really doesn't matter how these guys have performed through the regular stage. These guys are built of sterner stuff than to worry about things that have happened in the past. They know that they can go out there and run. And Psycho's a real testament to that mindset. Let's see if it's enough to carry NiP through here. It's going to be the final round for their defense. Chance at them to come out at a 4-2, which would be the norm. It'd certainly follow the trend we've seen on Villa so far today. And be fairly representative of Team 1's distaste to bring a hard breacher for anything other than Kitchen.
Also with Psycho, currently in the Copa Elite 6, Ollie, he's now 11 opening kills to 9 opening deaths. So, still not like amazing numbers, but a lot better than what he once was, which I think kind of shows the turnaround of NiP is just that stat alone. You can see the difference in their players. They're playing a lot more in sync with each other. I think their refrags have been excellent. Yesterday, especially against Liquid, they were just on top of the ball the entire time. And Team 1, what can they do against this roam game from NiP, which has caused them issues? You see him taking a bit of time, 1:20 already gone, and no kills on the side of Team 1. NiP, the roamers scattered around, especially this. Oh, that Mozzie Muzi almost catches the C4. As KDS was trying to prep a nade to be tossed in, and that nade will go out. But, as we see, Muzi has completely moved on. And Levy gets C4'd from below. That will cause a bit of delay for Team 1. They're going to have to now move in and try and secure this revive. Does a good chunk of damage to Levy. I think there's another C4 being tossed out. And that's all the C4s gone from the Mute and the Mozzie who were roaming below. They still do have Psycho and his C4, but he seems to be situated on site more than anything, Ollie. So it would be surprising to not really gain a kill from living room. But maybe he can snag a kill onto the sledge. Never mind, Kamikaze has done that for him. We're expecting Psycho to start fishing for that sledge, but he doesn't need to anymore. That's great pressure being applied constantly to that sledge, not allowing him to use that vertical opening. Alamou has pushed up the pantry, eliminated Psycho, but this is going to be a difficult challenge for him. KDS finds another, but has been downed in the process. A 3v3. They do have pantry control, and Alamou has to go up against Julio and wins that engagement. Lagonis finds one. Also, Team 1 have stormed in, and now Muzi left in a 1 versus 3. The HP and 2 of the members of Team 1 is not favorable. A pre-fire tried to come in. Diffuser will go down. Muzi only has the oNe, and that alone. Can he make the clutch happen?
Finds the headshot there onto Levy. The plant will go down. Pistols being drawn by Alamou, but Lagonis, he picks up those pieces, gets the plant, knows exactly where Moose is going to be coming from. Bit of a lucky wallbang there, but he had the info. Hits the pre-fire. Round secured. We do see a 3-3 split here on Villa. Team 1 managing to drag that one back. Despite the less than favourable start. Alamou had a big part to play there in that round, bursting through. 3 attacking rounds, Demo. That could be big. Could be very big indeed here for Team 1.
My oh my. This is too close to the call, because now NiP, they go on their attacking side, and NiP have looked a little bit treacherous as of late on their attacks, Ollie. But I would say against Liquids, they looked just unplayable. I don't think Liquid could really play against how NiP were attacking. NiP were having landslides victories on their attacks. I think they only had to attack a few times because they mostly started in defense, didn't they? And I think they took 5 attacks yesterday, considering it was a 7-3 and a 7-2 game. They did a lot of the heavy lifting on defense anyway. They think they were 5-1 up in defense on Clubhouse and a 4-2 split for them on Cafe. So defense was the big thing for NiP, but their attacks were also very strong, only losing 2 attacking rounds yesterday, Ollie.
Well, let's see how their attacks go today. Of course, the second NiP map yesterday was a blink and you miss it affair, so didn't really get to see all that much. Immediately looking to try and deploy some of this ace utility, but it's going to get shot off straight away. Kamikaze maybe a little bit too eager there. Actually spent all but one. Don't even think the one on the vault actually went off either. I think that may have been either shot or is potentially being caught out in the mute jammer. So an eagerness to try and get things open in the early part of the round, quickly being dealt with. And NiP maybe just benefit from slowing down a little bit and just buying themselves a bit more time.
Yeah, certainly are. I mean, NiP, the lineup screams aggression. You know, it just does, Ollie. They've got 4 sets of nades. They've got some serious guns in their side. Got that big LMG, Ollie, which is just great for spraying and praying if you have a bit of info to go off, and they certainly do have that. You know, you still have Kamikaze, you can sit in the drones all day long. You have Psycho, who can obviously use the Gemini clone, so there shouldn't be any issues with NiP in terms of their attacking force. Just can they land the shots? Can they land the kills? Looks as if Alamou will start landing his kills, as there goes Psycho. A big battle between the 2 standout players so far for either side, and it will go in favor of Alamou.
Psycho to fall then, opening death on the attack. Not ideal, but not the end of the world either. Muzi playing on the Nook, we've not really seen all too much value out of that, especially given that he's on the roof at the moment. Not really where you would expect a Nook to be. It's almost like the meme of the Ash player that sits on the roof until the final few seconds of every single round and then entries on in inevitably to their death. Kamikaze, the next player to fall, 1 by 1. We're seeing NiP getting chipped away at here, as they haven't really had a clear, concise strategy for approaching this map. Pino's got himself into trophy. Neskin just playing in the doorway here to master. Shuts one, can't find the second. Pino immediately there with the refrag. But look at the damage that it's caused. 4 versus 2 in favour of Team 1. Pino getting chunked down there by the Toxic Babe canister. Needs to be cautious on the Thinker, as if he does juice himself up and then take damage from the Toxic Babe, it will deal even more. Live ping information for him to work from. C's Levy ended very easily. KDS takes Pino, but immediately traded 1 for 1. Julio, 1 versus 2. The shotgun at close range from Lagona. Swings the corner, hits the shot. Chucks another up here for Team 1.
Does indeed. Good round from Team 1. Starts things off right for them on the defense. And NiP, for the first time in the series, will actually fall behind Team 1 on the defense, Ollie. We know what they're capable of. And one thing that we have to mention, Ollie, is Alamou. The most known figure right now, I would say, in Brazil. You know, he's really set a precedence for himself this year, Ollie, and for good reason. A serious gunner, somebody that you have to, always go into a gunfight thinking it is Alamou. Look at that. Look at him. Doesn't care. He doesn't care who you are, what you've won. he'll just BM you straight to your face.
He hits a bit of BM out on Twitter as well. It's quite funny.
Just...
And, you know, he's enabled by the rest of his squad.
It's
one
difficult
of
not
those
to like him as well, which I think is a really big key factor for him. It is difficult not to like him, and obviously that then grows your fan base, and all, you know, fan base, it can be massive for teams. You know, if you know you always have somebody to play for, you always have a good backing, it makes a big difference.
I mean, I think given what he tweeted about Liquid last night, I think there's probably a few Liquid fans out there that don't like him.
Very true. Well, a lot more neutrals, I would say.
Yeah,
definitely fancy him.
And I think that's the sort of controversialness of it all, isn't it? It's all in good faith, but certainly a confident individual. I think it's fair to say, can probably be described as nothing but. And the confidence rings through. You know, you see it come out in the gameplay, you see it come out on the server, and that's really where it matters.
And today he is a major champion.
True.
He is for any major champion. I think he has, you know, all right to do that. So we'll see how he plays on now to move into this next round and be on to that kitchen dining site, which has seen a lot of play. No living rooms today, Ollie. We've seen a lot of villa so far, but no living room sites. Probably for good reason. Still a very difficult site to master. Just the way that the attackers can take a very minimalistic setup and still successfully pull off a plant is probably the key reason why it's not favored. So the ace will start to open up breaches here and there. See how NiP assess the situation. They don't really have any, you know, sledge to go in there and start using a vertical game. They do have an ace of breaching charges, and I also think Muzi has some breaching charges on him as well, so they can do vertical with those two operators, but it's a difficult challenge for them, I'm sure, to actually get into the top floor and get into that bedroom.
This is where we could see NiP's trademark slow style really punished, especially on a map like Villa. It isn't entirely obvious the progress that they've made just yet. We do have Muzi, who's looking to make his way in through Statuary. Doesn't really have a efficient way to burn through the Aruni gate though, so he's forced into Trophy. Lagonis gathering a lot of information here that he can feed on through. Muzi now inside of Trophy will be able to start opening up this floor somewhat. Kamikaze dropped, obviously on the ace, has the chance to open up maybe into the site, pending where the electrical ore has been placed. KDS just watching the hop in at the moment. Team 1 really don't need to concern themselves too much here. Misplaced C4 there from Alamou is a little bit unfortunate, but nades to open up these angles isn't ideal either. One will sail on down. Doesn't deal any significant damage to anyone on the side of Team 1, potentially meant for utility. KDS still watching this hop in as he sees the Selma charges getting thrown all the way through. C4 beautifully placed there by Levy. Takes Pino out of action. Now we're starting to see players from NiP have to drop. They need to try and get into the site somehow. Under the cover of the Finker Stim might be the way to do it. Will, however, fade. Psycho pushes his way through. Finds Levy. His teammates now joining him. Actually downed by his teammate, maybe. Lagonis there taking out Kamikaze. This is all going wrong here for NiP. Neskin, he's able to put some shots in, but taken out by Muzi from behind. 1 versus 2 now as Muzi starts chaining kills together. Picks up the diffuser and starts to attempt to plant. Immediately comes off. Knows that Alamou's dropping and that he is only 1 HP.
He just dropped the action. He just, again, the BM rolls on in for Alamou. My word. But Team 1, all credit. Alamou didn't really have that much pressure, but was still, he just stayed alive. That's all he had to do in those final closing seconds. A nice attempt by Muzi. Really hit them in a position that they weren't ready for, pushing in through that China door. But Team 1, again, stemmed NiP extremely well. Had good refrags, had good pressure going down onto kind of default plant position. And yeah, Team 1, 5-3, 2 rounds away from taking the first map. NiP just lagging behind a little bit now.
Yeah, NiP needs to start picking up the pace, and they need to start doing it fairly quickly. You do really get the feeling that the momentum's with Team 1 here, and as soon as they get onto 6 rounds, those couple of attacking rounds that they were able to win, the 3 attacking rounds that they were able to get, start looking very significant indeed. A lot on the line here inside of round number 9. A win would see Team 1 on a match point, and NiP continuing to fight off the back foot. Some of these rounds have been fairly close as well. You look at how close that last round was. Comes down to a 1 versus 1. There wasn't enough time left for it to really be ever successful for Muzi to actually pull that off. But realistically, could NiP have got themselves into that position a little bit sooner? I think they probably could have done. I think they could have done a bit more in the earlier mid-round to speed things up somewhat. But it has been a consistent problem. oNe, he's going to go for an early C4. You can see that no one spawned there. Maybe just waiting for the call here. Quite rightly pockets it. A little bit of a waste of some utility. That regularly you do see players try for that C4, but in this instance, not successful.
Alamou from the Mozzie will be the main issue that NiP have to try and deal with, and it looks as if they're going to send Muzi in to try and hunt them down, but Alamou doesn't really want to go for it. Asking up to. Down looks as if he's maybe going to try and support him, but go put back up to the bomb site. Bloody hold. Implemented by Team 1. Those oNe gates are going to be great at not only just denying a bit of utility, Ollie, but just simply stop somebody walking in as freely as what they probably could do. Maybe looking back at it, something that maybe FaZe, maybe missed out on because they did ban the oNe in that matchup. And when we seen Furia just kind of walk into door frames and take these swings, and you can see the oNe gate just kind of stems that flow a little bit more.
Yeah, the oNe is certainly a great zoning tool. And I think that both FaZe and Furia saw the sort of heat of that oNe ban, right? You know, it was banned out by FaZe, but it was something that did concern them as well. And here it's really not making things any easier for Team 1 in their approach. Typical, slow, still players way out there trying to gather a bit of info on that roof and getting the drones out. They're being met with quite a few problems. Kamikaze is going to be on the ace. They have got the potential to use that hard breach to get something open, but they will have bandits to deal with this time. Alamou, he's able to find a kill over onto Psycho. Psycho trying to make an entry in there downstairs. Levy could come to blows here now as well. Actually got a Mozzie Pest drone just on the inside of that doorway, but doesn't need it to take down Muzi. He's going to easily find that kill and immediately turn his attention to Pino on the pig window. Pino could be under a little bit of pressure here. Impact's no C4, but Levy knows there's going to be somebody in there. Great nade comes through from Pino. Unfortunate C4. What is going on here? Demo, no!
Oh my. Alamou just kills anything, it seems to be. Doesn't care if you're his teammate, doesn't care if he's the enemy. He just keeps on killing. We'll see if he can make up for it, because he is still in a good position, Ollie, to try and hit them from that red stairs, and maybe even just fall back and try and push up to Astro and support his team. NiP are going to run into a bit of an issue, Ollie, and that is the bottleneck. They're going to get choked up. They look as if they just pushed to the side. There's a C4, and that will connect on to Kamikaze, trying to get that defused down. Pino has eliminated KDS. The diffuser has to get picked up. Julia will try and walk in, but there we go. They do not have the cover. Alamou rotates up Astro. A good rotation. Getting back onto the bomb site, and will lie in wait. Breach not working out for them. Couldn't walk through that doorway. The Banshee was lying in wait. Team 1 push at the match point.
Team 1 posed to take map number 1 here. Looking like an increasing possibility, especially given the way that NiP are conducting themselves on the attack. They've almost regressed into that slower state that we've often criticised, which is kind of strange because they had a great defensive phase, excuse me. Played really well in the defense, were able to come away with an equal share of the rounds. But here we stand. Match point, Team 1. Chance to put themselves one map up in the series. Going to be heading into Aviator and Games Room. Great C4 from Neskin there to wrap up the round. Was almost as good as Alamou's C4. I'm not quite sure what Alamou was thinking there. I don't know if he mistakenly thought that Pino had actually already hopped in through pig window.
I think miscommunication more than likely.
Just a bad comm on it.
Panic comm.
Yeah.
Who knows? Again, that's where it's the only thing that you kind of miss out on in esports is the team comms, because we know how much, like, how big that plays a part into things. It's the only thing, but I'd imagine that to be the case. It had to be in a missed call, panic call, whatever it was, and it happens. But still, made up for it nonetheless, so in hindsight, it didn't really matter. 6-3. Team 1 storming away with the defense, Ollie, and haven't really done anything too fancy. Have mostly been very docile. have just kind of sat in the bomb site. NiP have really struggled to get their heads wrapped around what kind of take they want to go for. It seems as if NiP, they're back to, it's a very slow attacking side, and they can't really get anything going. We always knew going to Villa was going to be a risk for Team 1, or for NiP, should I say, sorry. Their attacks haven't been the greatest. If we look at how they actually performed in the matchup against NiP, they lost 6 attacking rounds on them.
Yeah, it's significant, isn't it?
It's, you know, it's a massive statement to think, okay, we're going to go back here again. And it probably wasn't the greatest choice from NiP. Looking at it now, I think the attacks are same old for NiP, just back to the way they were. I don't know where you really go for NiP now at this stage. They have to have 3 perfect rounds or else they will lose this matchup.
It's looking more and more unlikely with the way that the game is shaping up. NiP need to show us something. They need to show it quickly. Failing that, we will be moving on to the second map. Pino maybe looking to try and make a bit of an entry off the back of the nade, but instead it will just be caught up by the magnet. Not sure if it burnt the intended piece of utility. Potentially a Banshee there, but unlikely to be so. Muzi now going to try and nade out and remove the electrification that's slowing down any progress on that vault wall. It could be a main point of focus here for NiP. Typically it is somewhere that they've opted to try and get open, and we can see the ace Selma charge there will be successful. I'm going to do something to cut the site in half. Alamou attempting there, a bit of an impact.
What's he thinking?
A desperate attempt to try and make something happen, but realistically is it going to do? Toxic Babe canisters being forced already, still with just under a minute left to play. Looks like there's a bit of panic setting in demo from Team 1.
3 of them clogged up. 4 of them clogged up in the same room, Ollie. This is not where Team 1 want to be. Muzi will take a trip into Vault, but look at them, 2 of them flight 19. Eskin will eliminate Muzi, though. Team 1 have came out swinging. Now they're playing the breach, but Kamikaze eliminates Alamou. A great long angle. Study control is still not in their favor. KDS will swing, eliminate Pino. It is going horrendous now for NiP as Team 1 will pick up flurry of kills. One after another they fall. Julio, all he had to do was sit here and hold the angle, but he cannot do that. And now they're down to 15 seconds. Somebody has to cover Kamikaze. He can't plant by himself. Julio, he has to make a move. He has to do something. Kamikaze eliminates the man behind the mirror window. Team 1, can they stop this from happening? Kamikaze rushes deep. Lagonis has to win it, but no. Kamikaze has pulled off a blinder. And Julio, all he had to do was get 1 kill, and he did that.
Julio certainly made up for some of those missed players on the rotation there. Kamikaze, he was a bit of a standout yesterday, and he's certainly stood up there inside of that round. NiP fighting till the bitter end, not letting 1 round slip. They cannot afford to let 1 round slip from this point onwards. A win there for Team 1 would have saw us take on our second map, but NiP fight back. Despite the odds, despite the unfavourable circumstance, it did help that a couple of players for Team 1 were significantly chipped down to 1 HP. But still, a round that goes to NiP. Can they do it again? Can they repeat this and start a little bit of a chain reaction and really get something going here? We're seeing the same site selected by Team 1, but there are a couple of changes coming through. We've got a Monty on the side of NiP. Psycho going to be making that change.
Welcome, Panic Monty. Welcome.
Yeah, the Panic Monty. Happy to have you. Psycho on Monty's been pretty scary, you know. It's not the first time this weekend.
Flexible. They're very flexible in terms of who can play the Monty, but I have to say that last round is just what a round. Best round of the series so far, definitely. It was more. It had more ups and downs, you know, than NiP's performance this year. It's been insane. Absolutely insane. And has that maybe stunned Team 1? Has that left them thinking, that should have been it? That should have been it. Now we've kind of opened the door, and NiP have stuck their foot directly in it. Then what kind of statement does it send whenever we're seeing NiP pull out the Monty? What does that say about their mental game?
I'm not sure if it is a Panic Monty. Or if it's just like a get the job done Monty, you know? There may be two different Montys. There might be two different buttons that are pressed. Ooh,
Whenever I think of NiP picking Monty, it's they don't have the information to get kills. They don't have the information to supply the knowledge to Pino and Muzi. And the Monty's usually seen as kind of like that human drone. Roamers haven't been an issue, I would say, for NiP, because Team 1 have been very quick just to fall back and like I said, be very docile on the bomb site. Just kind of sit and wait and see what happens. We've seen 4 of them in the same room last round, so I think that point is proven. So again, I'm a little bit shocked to see the Monty come out, because I don't really know what they would need it for.
Maybe it is just a case of they need a bit more of that information, and they want something to go along with it. I anticipate another slow round. That's usually where NiP go when things get pretty difficult. Psycho already seeing quite a big problem just getting himself up main stairs. He's getting chipped down vertically. The Toxic Babes are pushing him off as well. Think of Stim. A couple of smokes from the attackers as well. Isn't going to entirely master the Toxic Babe gas though, Lagonis. Thanks a nade thrown vertically. Only deals a little bit of damage to him. Not too much to be concerned about there. Alamou still aggressing on the stairs. The longer he can hold on to here for the better. This is where the problems really do start to come though. Dumps both of his impacts in at the Monty and dips himself back out. KDS is going to suffer as he falls to Pino as Pino marches up those main stairs. The Monty doing its job, forcing that location, being that beachhead that Team 1 need. Oh, sorry, that NiP need. Try and push on through. What are they going to be able to do off the back of it? They've still got to get themselves into sight. Is it going to be a single doorway push? Certainly that's where Psycho's framing up for at the moment. Player on 90. Alamou dips back. Knows that there's somebody on the 90 window. Kamikaze still outside. He's going to be the diffuser carrier and crucial in these next 35 seconds or so. Pino still trying to find the vertical angles as the rest of Team 1 just retreat back into the site, trying to hold something of value as Psycho harasses on the site, but eventually is going to be shut down, not supported by his team, and nobody there to take advantage of the information that he was gaining. Lagonis picks 2 before being traded. Muzi trying to find 1. He will. Takes out Levy, and Neskin comes up, trumps as well, but he's going to be the last player alive, and he has to. Pino is going to be getting the plant down. A desperate C4 gets sent on out, but not a lot of information for Neskin here as NiP have done what they do best, and that is take the bomb site, get the plant down, and play the post. Neskin moves on through, gets chipped down significantly, and taken out of action by Pino. The LMG on the finker there, doing the business. The open mirror window, providing the opportunity for him, and Team 1 fall yet again, failing to convert this match point. NiP snapping at their heels now.
Yeah, Aviator in games not working the best for Team 1, it has to be said, and I think overall, if you look at how NiP kind of played that bomb site, the Monty was kind of sent in to scout, to see who was in what position, and very quickly NiP capitalized that information. I think Muzi was in a very tricky position because he was kind of the main man who had to find the kill onto that mirror playing inside of map. So all credit to Muzi. If he had fallen, no study control, nobody to hold that post plant in that position. So overall, Muzi, a lot laying his shoulders, surprisingly, and he managed to make it work.
Well, apparently we've only got Julio and Kamikaze playing for NiP at the minute. They're doing a great job to man all 5 operators. Must be a problem with the cameras for the players, but jokes aside, NiP fighting back yet again. 1 round away from leveling it up. This is where it becomes a scary possibility, Demo. Now, why have Team 1 chosen to go downstairs into the kitchen? Seen as the off-site. AVG isn't working for them. They can't close it out up there. They're going for information. Got 3 C4s here, and they're going to try and use them. Lagonis playing on the pulse. Going to try and give that active information to players to work off the back of. Force NiP into the top floor clear. Give them a little bit more to focus on. Give them something to do and try and run out that clock. Seems like a noble strategy at this point from Team 1, but is it going to be enough?
And Team 1, see it out. Close out Villa. Remind Ollie that, of course, we head to Coastline next, which is NiP's map pick. Team 1 have went for play of locking in Villa right off the rip. Keep in mind, there were other maps there that they could have went to, and definitely other maps that has favored Team One. For example, you know, I looked at what was left before the map bans came in. I think of Oregon could have been a good map for Team One. Could have been picked straight away. Even Bank as well. So there are other options for them, but they went for the Villa. They have confidence in themselves, but that confidence is slowly starting to fade away.
And as the confidence fades from Team One, it increases from NiP's perspective. They're a team that know that they can do this. As you mentioned, going into their map choice next, we know them to be a good coastline team. We know them to be a very adaptive team. Would be what they need here. Get the job done. Kamikaze going to be going for his trademark, trying to get open with those Selma charges from afar. Neskin kicks off things with a kill onto Muzi. Never ideal to lose the entry, especially somebody like Muzi who's had quite a big contribution up until this point. Long angle now being held. Something that you can try and exploit and cut the site in half with, but really need the manpower and the bodies. Still no initial thoughts for going for that vertical control, as Psycho is going to be up there kind of on his own at the moment. Having lost Muzi, he's lost his teammate in really commanding that upstairs area, and it's left to Pino and Psycho to try and get the job done there, but they could fall a little bit short. Not enough players to take advantage of so many open angles, Demo.
C4 will go amiss, though. A great pick, though, to get that sledge, but unfortunately Team One not find it. They still have 2 more C4s to have another punt, of course. They have the pulse that can feed out that information. Lagonis is doing just that. They've been able to spot out the man inside a laundry. There goes the nade, drop down beside Levy, but he will respond with a C4. Will that get a kill? Yes, it will. Down goes the sledge that they were hunting for so long, and I fears of NiP. This is the end of the road for them on Villa. Kamikaze falls, the diffuser gone. Julio is somehow found his way into kitchen, but that is a very short-lived dream of his to become a chef. And well, Team One, they do the business. They see it out on Villa. The kitchen works a wonder for them.
Made a lot of sense to go down to the kitchen. We kind of theorized that running NiP ragged with time and giving them a lot to do there was going to be the recipe for success, and it was exactly that. Team One able to get that opener. Neskin, great round for him as well. Went equal on the game, 10 and 10. Alamou